Good morning, everybody. The February 16, 2016 School Land Board meeting will come to order. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from our last meeting on January 5th, 2016. After we've had a chance to review the minutes and assuming no objections, comments, questions, could entertain a motion to approve them.
So moved.
Motion is made, seconded, and carried unanimously to approve the minutes. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda as posted.
So moved.
Motion is made, seconded, and carried unanimously to approve the consent agenda as posted. Items number 3 and 4 will be in executive session. School Land Board will enter executive session pursuant to Chapter 551, Subchapter D, Section 551, Tech 071, of the Texas Government Code for discussion and consideration regarding the pending or contemplated litigation or settlement offers, or to seek or receive attorney advice or counsel related to items 3 and 4 on the docket, and subsection 551 Tech 072 for the discussion and consideration concerning the purchase, sale, exchange, lease, or value of real property related to items 3 and 4 on the docket. Following executive session, we will come back to reconvene in open session to complete the agenda. The open session of the February 16, 2016 School Land Board meeting will resume with item number 3 as stated.
So moved. What was he? Okay.
Russell May with Asset Management. Staff is recommending to the School Land Board the approval of the fiscal and calendar budget 2016 associated with this partnership located in Galveston County under the terms and conditions as presented to the board and being in the best interest of the state or the PSF. Are there any questions I may answer?
None at this time.
So moved.
Motion is made, seconded, and carried unanimously to approve item number 3. Next item on the agenda is number 4 as stated.
Russell May with Asset Management. Staff is recommending the School Land Board approve the attached 2016 budget fiscal and calendar year with the subject property development located in Fort Bend County, Texas, under the terms and conditions as presented to the board and being in the best interest of the PSF. Any questions?
So moved.
Motion is made, seconded, and carried unanimously to approve item number 4. Next, thank you, Russell. Next item on the agenda is number 5, as stated.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, for the record, my name is Rusty Martin, Chief Investment Officer. I'm pleased to present you with a quarterly investment report of the TexGlo Permanent School Fund Real Assets Investment Portfolio for the period July 1 through September 30th. The performance measurement calculations and the statistical data that are presented in the report were prepared by State Street Bank and its Private Edge Group. They are the custodial accounting and performance measurement agents for the portfolio. Third quarter GDP in the U.S. increased at a rate of about 2%. That was after it had increased 3.9% in the second quarter. Also during the period, the unemployment rate fell to 5.1% from 5.3% in second quarter. The Fed policy remained unchanged during the quarter. They left Fed funds at 0 to 0.25%, and they stated that they would raise Fed funds target range when it saw further improvement in the labor market, and were reasonably confident that inflation would move back to its 2% objective. They also reiterated that they would take a balanced approach when they finally began to remove their policy accommodation, and as we know, they did take the first step towards doing that in December when they raised Fed funds by a quarter, 25 basis points. In the real estate markets, NPI, NCREIF Property Index, posted positive returns for the 23rd consecutive quarter. Fundamentals across all the property types continue to benefit from continued strong job growth. Since the beginning of 2010 now, the U.S. economy has added about 13.5 million private sector jobs, bringing unemployment down to its lowest level since April of 2008. That continuing good employment news is driving positive real estate fundamentals, with occupancy rates and rents firming across all property types in most of the major U.S. metropolitan areas. The real estate market, as measured by NPI, returned 3.09% for that quarter. Its trailing one-year return was 13.47%, so it's outstanding performance in the real estate market. All of the quarterly individual sectors were positive for the 22nd time since the second quarter of '08. Industrial was the best performing sector in the quarter, followed by hotel. For each of the sectors, hotel was up 3.52%, retail was up 3.11%, apartment 2.92%, industrial 3.67%, and office 2.97%. In the energy markets, WTI oil was very volatile, ended down approximately 25.5% for the quarter at $44.40 a barrel. Of course, that continued downward pressure is primarily reflected by near record production by OPEC, led by Saudi Arabia and Iraq, and also concerns that have surfaced about the health of the Chinese economy. Most analysts expect an oil price recovery in the second half of 2016, mainly due to the fact that current pricing just does not generate acceptable drilling economics in almost all non-OPEC producing areas. Gas prices ended the quarter with an average quarterly price of $2.76 per million BTU. That was his third straight quarter below the $3 level. That decrease is primarily caused by production growth continuing to exceed current demand. Oversupply is still going to be a continuing problem for the near future, particularly due to warmer than normal weather, and the fact that the LNG exports probably aren't going to begin to come online until 2017 at the earliest. Turning to the portfolio production, if you'll look at page 2 of the report, I'll go over the main numbers for you. So the total NAV at the end of the period was $4.633 billion. The external portfolio was roughly $2 billion of that. The internal portfolio was about $254 million. Looking at the performance for the external portfolios, the top of the report there, you'll see the current quarter was 2.12%. That was 2 basis points below the benchmark of 2.14%. That was primarily due to the markdowns in the energy sector. The real estate sector of the portfolio was actually up 3.57% for the quarter, and infrastructure was also up 3.35%, so very healthy returns. However, the energy sector marked the portfolio down was 5.2%, so that dragged the overall return slightly below that of the benchmark. For the 1 year, 3 year, and 5 year periods, however, the portfolio was still outperforming the benchmark. 1 year returns 10.62% versus 9.19 on the benchmark, so 143 basis points outperformance there. 3 years 14.27% versus 9.82 on the benchmark, outperformance by 445 basis points. And then the 5 year, the return is 17.22% versus 11.28 on the benchmark, so an outperformance of 594 basis points on the 5 year return. At the end of the period, about 45% of our total capital commitments remained unfunded. 29% of real estate was unfunded, 53% of infrastructure, and 60% of energy. And then the internal portfolio had a good quarter. It was up 7.49%, well outpacing the benchmark, and its 1 year return is 14.77 versus 9.19. The internal portfolio has now experienced 19 consecutive quarters of positive returns. On a combined basis, the portfolio without cash generated 2.74% versus 2.14 for the benchmark, so outperformed by 60 basis points for the period, and outperformed both on the 1 year and the 5 year period, outperforming on 1 year by 191 basis points, and outperforming on the 5 year period by 407 basis points. Taking a look at the diversification across property types, on an invested basis, the portfolio is generally still over-allocated to real estate at 57% versus a target of 33%. But again, this will change over time as more of the commitments to infrastructure and energy are funded. For example, at the end of the quarter, the real estate allocation on an invested plus unfunded commitments basis was 43%. The combined portfolio on a geographic basis is very close to the targeted allocation for each region. Currently, the allocation to the U.S. is about 79% of the portfolio compared to a target of 75%. The allocation to Texas is about 13% of the portfolio compared to a target of 15%. And the international allocation is now around 8% compared to a target of 10%. That is the presentation. This is a non-voting item. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
No questions at this time. Thank you, Rusty. This being a non-voting item and there being no further business before the board, this meeting is adjourned.